the Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting for Tuesday, August 25th, 2026 to order. We're going to call the roll. Alderman Barnhill.
Here.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes, sir.
Alderman Caesar.
Here.
Alderman Peterson.
Here.
Alderman Berger.
Present.
Alderman Brown.
Present.
Alderman Potts.
Present.
Vice Mayor Baggett.
Present.
And the mayor is here. We have everybody here. We're going to begin tonight with an invocation. Alderman Barnhill will offer an invocation. I'll lead the Pledge of Allegiance if we'll stand. Alderman Barnhill.
Would you bow, please? Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight. Thank you for this great nation that we live in. We know that we are a nation of freedoms. We recognize that there are many places in this world that does not have the freedoms that we have. We give you thanks for these freedoms. We also ask your blessings upon the first responders, the policemen, the firemen, that protect our freedoms. We also ask that you be with the military, the soldiers that are in foreign countries. We know that families are separated. We know that that is a difficult situation to be in. And Father, we ask that you be with each of us as aldermen, the decisions that we make in the best interest of the taxpayer and the citizens of Franklin. This prayer we ask and offer in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. The next item on the agenda is a proclamation for the 10th anniversary of the Sister City Partnership with Bad Soden, Taunus, Germany. And I'd ask for the Sister City Committee and their representatives to come up if they would. Okay. We're so proud of this group. Let me start before I read the proclamation. Y'all are just doing such a great job. We've got a new sister city, Ciudad Rodrigo, Spain. We're going to Bad Soden. We're taking a whole big group to Bad Soden. Some people are leaving tomorrow, and then some of us are leaving on Saturday to go over and visit our new sister city in Spain, and then we're following there by going to Bad Soden, where we have an exhibit that's going to tell a lot about Franklin, and it's been put together by Bradley Boshears there at the archives, and also utilizing photographs from Robin Hood, who's been generous with his work to share that. This is really an exciting thing that y'all have been doing, and so it's quite an honor to read a proclamation on the 10th year. And I'm going to let Kim Cannon say a few words after I read the proclamation just to explain who all these people are. So, whereas on September the 3rd, 2016, the city of Franklin, Tennessee, and the city of Bad Soden am Taunus, Hesse, Federal Republic of Germany, formally entered into a sister city partnership founded on mutual respect, shared civic purpose, and a commitment to transatlantic friendship. And whereas over the past decade, this partnership has provided a meaningful framework for international exchange, strengthening civic understanding, and creating opportunities that bring residents of both communities together in ways that enrich cultural awareness and broaden global perspective. And whereas collaboration between Franklin and Bad Soden am Taunus has supported youth engagement, enabling students and young residents to participate in programs that foster cross-cultural learning, international goodwill, and a deeper appreciation for global citizenship, and whereas both cities remain dedicated to the enduring ideals of peace and global cooperation, upholding the spirit under which the partnership was established, Now therefore, I, Dr. Ken Moore, Mayor of the City of Franklin, Tennessee, and the esteemed Board of Mayor and Aldermen honor the 10-year Sister City partnership between Bud Soden and Franklin and encourage all citizens to support the ongoing engagement, collaboration, and friendship that strengthens this important international bond. Now, a quick advertisement for sister cities. They're always looking for people that want to serve on their board. They're always looking for hosts to host students from Bod Soden or interns from Bod Soden. And so that's your advertisement tonight, Kim. No charge. So Kim, come up and introduce yourself.
I'm Kim Cannon. I've been volunteering with Sister Cities for 10 years, so this is particularly exciting, and I'm very grateful to have former board members who are definitely still involved. And DJ Gottlieb is here, and DJ and I were in Ciudad Rodrigo together, and he has also been to Bad Soden, Germany. So he's here representing all the interns and students who are at college, school, or playing sports right now. I'm personally grateful to the whole city of Franklin and Williamson County for this opportunity for our students and citizens.
Great. Thank you, Kim. And
Thank you.
we need to take a picture.
All right. Oh, boy. Mayor in the middle. There you go, Mayor.
I think we want to look backward.
You're part of the founding mothers. Founding mothers. One, two, three.
And then one for me real quick.
Thanks, Joey.
3, 2, 1. Awesome, thank you.
Thank you. Let's give it a hand again. I do have one other recognition I'm going to do tonight, but I'm going to use my prerogative as the chair to recognize Mayor Anderson when he arrives. He won't be here till sometime around 7:30, so I may interrupt the meeting at that time to come and honor him. So, given that, I don't think there are any citizen comments for items not on the agenda. So we'll now go to the consent agenda, and all items on the consent agenda are deemed to be non-controversial and routine in nature to the governing body. We're considering items 14 through 23, and I would consider a motion.
Motion to approve.
Thank you,
Second.
Alderman. Alderman Caesar, thank you. Any discussion? Ready to vote. Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
And Vice Mayor Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. We'll now go to setting of the agenda. Are there any changes that need to be made in the printed order of the agenda tonight? If not, I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Alderman Brown, second by Alderman Potts. Any discussion? Seeing none, Alderman Barnhill, how do you vote?
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
And Vice Mayor Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. We'll now go to any communications from the Williamson County Commission or any miscellaneous reports as I return to my seat.
Mayor, I'll share something. As we move forward, just want to thank the Franklin Police Department and the bike team for recently going out and participating in a back-to-school bash at Ladd Park. They provided a bike education and e-bike education experience and had a very large turnout out there. So I'd like to thank the bike team for going out there and all of the Franklin Police Department for doing that.
Okay, thank you. Any other miscellaneous reports? Or if not, we'll move to approval of the minutes from the work session of August the 11th and the Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting of August 11th, 2026. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Thank you, Alderman Peterson.
Second.
Second by Alderman Brown. Any discussion? Ready to vote, Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. We'll now go to item number 6. This is consideration resolution 2026-47, resolution to annex 5 properties consisting of 22.78 acres located north of Clovercroft Road, east of Oxford Glen Drive of the city of Franklin, Tennessee, adjoining the city limits within the eastern part of the Franklin urban growth boundary. This is the third and final reading. I do have 2 speakers on that. I'll give them 2 minutes each, starting with Janet Curtis, followed by Jeff Goodspeed. So if you'll come on up to the podium.
My name is Janet Curtis. I live in Franklin, Tennessee, mayor and alderman. I urge you to reconsider the Poplar Reserve subdivision and the number of homes planned until serious safety issues on Clovercroft Road are adequately addressed and plans in place to fix the safety issues. There have been talks between the county and the city, or lack of, for several years, and yet nothing is being done. This road is already dangerous. According to the Williamson County Sheriff's Department, in 2025, there were 29 accidents between Highway 96 and Wilson Pike, resulting in 10 fatalities. In just the first 6 months of 2026, there have already been 15 accidents, resulting in 4 additional deaths. Over 4,000 vehicles travel this road every day, numbers that do not yet include the 550 homes still being built in Poplar Farms, nor does it include the Navarro homes. There has been a traffic study done, or there was going to be, and yet I wonder how impartial that is. Adding another large subdivision will push even more traffic onto the road with a proven record of serious and fatal crashes. The developers' proposal of adding turn lanes will also make it harder for existing residents to enter and leave their driveways. In some cases, a simple left turn could require crossing 3 lanes of traffic. Your own professional planning staff recommended against the 3 modifications of standards the developer is requesting. That recommendation should carry real weight. Public safety must come first. We should not keep adding traffic to a road that is already killing people without documented substantial safety improvements in place first. I respectfully but strongly urge you to reconsider this request until those protections are secured. Thank you.
Hello, Jeff Goodspeed, Franklin, Tennessee. Again, also, I would like you to reconsider for the resolution 26-47 and 26-17, reference the houses off of Clovercroft and the property there. As recently stated, the Clovercroft area is known for being, one, hard to deal with due to the fact that we have multi-agencies dealing with the single road. So we don't have a good, clear path going forward on how to fix that infrastructure. So I'd like to, y'all to reconsider putting more houses or even having more property right there that isn't outside of what's currently there until we can get those infrastructure items fixed. Just a couple of facts. Realtor.com has rated Nashville, Tennessee as the slowest housing market as of June 2026, according to Realtor.com, with houses sitting for about 52 days on market. Franklin is right behind that, according to Redfin.com, at about 48 days on market. So I don't see any real push to try to get this done right now. I think we should really consider about the infrastructure and getting that done first. One of those items with that infrastructure is between Clovercroft, between Highway 96 and Wilson Pike. As of July 26 from January 26, there were 15 accidents and 4 fatalities. So again, that infrastructure, I think really we need to push on getting that fixed first before we add anything else additional as far as homes or property or anything like that. So again, thank you for your consideration. Appreciate the time.
Okay, I'm looking for a motion on resolution 2026-47.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second by Alderman Blanton. Any discussion? Alderman Potts.
Thank you, sir. I would like to make a correction. A statement was made at the podium that nothing's being done. And I actually have put things in motion to restart conversations and called for a new agenda item on the September 24th, 2026 Capital Improvement Committee agenda, and asked on that committee serves Alderman Berger, Alderman Baggett, Alderman Blanton, and myself, and have invited also City of Franklin team members to join us that focus on Clovercroft, as well as County Commissioners Greg Lawrence and County Commissioner Brian Clifford to also join, and to extend an invitation to Williamson County planning or engineering team members that can come to the table to be part of this conversation to move this forward. So I have heard these comments at the podium. Others of us have heard these comments at the podium, and I do want you to know that something is moving forward from this board. You're very welcome. And so that will be taking place on, again, 9/24 at that meeting. And for those who can't attend in person, you can actually watch online, I'm sure.
Alderman
Thank you,
Berger.
sir.
I was just going to add that Mayor Marshall will be attending as of right now that I know of. And there will be some other comments, but I think I'll reserve them to the time when the item comes up. Right, thank you.
Okay, Alderman Caesar.
Given the outstanding work that Alderman Potts has organized along with Alderman Berger, would it not be in our best interest to defer this decision until that meeting to plan for this infrastructure improvement?
May I answer that, Mr. Mayor? Please?
You may.
We have been answering that infrastructure, and I am working on that. Alderman Potts is working on that, but I've been meeting with the developer to bring this information to the board. We've already heard the information. The comment was that we need to stop this until we get the infrastructure fixed. This is the way we get the infrastructure fixed. We all know that. We don't build roads. We usually don't do things like that. We improve our roads, we renovate our roads, or however, upgrade them when needed. But the developers are building our roads, they are improving our roads. I worked very hard and long with this developer. If this was 100 homes or something, we'd have a whole lot more to talk about. We have a property with one property owner and her other 2 lots. So she owns 3 lots. There are 38 lots over here, and we have infrastructure, road impact fees that are going to go towards our solution in trying to mitigate some traffic down at the roundabout at Liberty Pike and Oxford Glen, larger turn lane with Navarra and Poplar, what is it, Poplar Farm? Poplar, the name of the development. They're going together and putting on extended turn lanes there that we need. We desperately need this infrastructure, and I'm not saying we approve a development just to get that infrastructure, but if 38 homes are going to go there, something has to be done. And so we've been addressing Oxford Glen, we've been doing all this, trying to get these things in place and to put this infrastructure. This is an opportunity to do this and not impact it with hundreds of homes. I've spoken to Commissioner Lawrence today, and we are talking about Oxford Glen and some additional mitigation on Oxford Glen for the county. And there's a few other things. And I talked to Mayor Marshall, and we were talking about how it is from 96 to Wilson Pike, county, city owns different parts of that road structure. Taking out a couple of the curves and the city's part, the county's part, also widening the shoulders and restriping it. We all know that today, tomorrow, 10 years, 20 years from now, this is not going to be a 4-lane road. And I doubt if it ever will be a 4-lane road, but it will be 2 and 3 lanes. Additional turn lanes continue to be put on this. So I think we are addressing this. Thanks.
Vice Mayor.
point, I don't know if anyone can recall the number of homes that had been built in the unincorporated county between 1,200 homes have been built in the unincorporated county.
1,500 approved and not built.
1,500 approved and not yet built that drive up and down this corridor. So I do applaud the efforts to get the county and the city together on this to try to solve this. How many homes are in this one? 38. So we've got, applaud the collaboration. However, I'll be voting against this because of the appendage of back facades of houses that now will be protruding past the setback that we did for Navarro and have completely disregarded in this development. I think I stand by the fact that we're trying to create rural corridors and keep them. And this, I will say it again because I enjoy saying the word, appendage of back facades is going to be sticking out. It could have easily been worked out if comments had been adhered to by the applicant. And I think housing should go here. But that's why I'll be voting against it.
Ready to vote? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
No.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Baggett.
No.
Passes 6-2. I'm now going to, as I mentioned to you, go to the podium and recognize a special guest that we have tonight, if I may. Mayor Anderson, you're the special guest. You knew you were the special guest anyway. Thank you, Mayor Anderson, for coming in tonight, and we wanted to recognize you as a Board of Mayor and Alderman tonight with a proclamation. And we won't tell too many war stories about our experiences as we've worked together as mayor, but certainly you've been a great mentor to me and many other mayors in the region as we've worked together, and you've made significant impact both in our county and regionally and across the state. And congratulations on being named Mayor of the Year. That doesn't come lightly from your peers. So listen up to this proclamation. Whereas Roger C. Anderson began his public service career in 1986 as a member of the Williamson County Commission, where he served for 16 years, including 4 years as chairman and 8 years as vice chairman. And whereas in September 2002, Roger C. Anderson began his tenure as Williamson County Mayor, serving for 24 years as the county's chief executive and providing leadership in county operations, fiscal management, and budgeting during a period of tremendous growth and change, helping guide the county through its continued development. Whereas Mayor Anderson's commitment to public service extended beyond Williamson County through regional and statewide leadership roles, including service with the Greater Nashville Regional Council, the Tennessee County Services Administration, the Middle Tennessee Mayor's Caucus, and whereas Mayor Anderson has further contributed to the community through his service with Williamson Health, Williamson Inc., the Williamson County Fair Board, Leadership Franklin, Franklin Damara, and the Franklin Noon Rotary Club, whereas Mayor Anderson was recognized as the 2024 County Mayor of the Year by the Tennessee County Service Association, and whereas over the course of his years of service, Mayor Anderson has shared a long-standing partnership with the city of Franklin and its leadership and has been affectionately known as
Big Mayor.
the Big Mayor. Thank you. A testament to the close relationship between the city and the county. And whereas Mayor Anderson is a proud father, grandfather, and veteran of the United States Air Force, and whereas Mayor Anderson has been an exemplary leader in the community, leading with integrity, wisdom, insight, and great humor, and whereas Mayor Anderson has left a lasting mark on Williamson County and the greater Middle Tennessee community, and the city of Franklin recognizes his leadership, dedication, and contribution to the communities he has served. Now, therefore, I, Dr. Ken Moore, Mayor of the city of Franklin, and the esteemed Board of Mayor and Aldermen do hereby honor and commend Roger C. Anderson upon his retirement as Williamson County Mayor and extend our sincere gratitude for his 40 years of dedicated public service. Please rise and let's give him a hand. Well, say a word.
I
You
would.
should say a word. Defend yourself.
Well, first of all, let me say thank you for taking the time and the energy out to interrupt your regular course of business and acknowledge my retirement. Next Tuesday, I will not be working anymore as the mayor. And if you want to know how many exact hours that would be, I could probably calculate that out for you real quick. I am honored. I have been blessed to live here in Williamson County and be a part of the successes that all 6 of our cities enjoy in our county. It is a great place to raise our families, have a business, worship, and above all, it's a great community. Our schools, our safety, public safety, whether you're city or county. Now, we do have our differences, and that's okay. But at the end of the day, we're trying to find solutions. Just like you did a few minutes ago. You each spoke your mind. That's the process we go through. And you vote. And we have to learn how to continue to do that. Learn to agree to disagree and continue going forward. But Ken, I want to say it's been a special place to be able to work with you as mayor. Ken puts in a lot of hours you all don't know about. I'm paid for him. He's not. And the many, many meetings he goes to in Nashville, how he represents our city and this county. And each of you I know personally, and I applaud you for your public service and what you give back to our community. There are many. I was at a meeting late this afternoon where I came from, and there are a lot of counties and cities across this state wish they had the problems we do, wish they had the opportunities we do, and that goes back many, many years. And I'm glad you'd be the oldest serving on this board. And some of those decisions that were made by those men and women in those early days has made what we are today. So thank you. Thanks for letting me have just a few moments. Enjoy this county commission room because I'm not coming back to it. Yeah, you all just enjoy it till you get City Hall built.
Thanks for letting Rogers.
Thank you.
I wanted to say Rogers has left the building, but he hasn't yet. Okay, item number 7 is ordinance 2026-17 and to zone 22.78 acres to Plan PD 1.8 district for the property located north of Clover Bluff Road and east of Oxford Glen Drive. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Appropriate motion, second by Alderman Berger. Any discussion? Ready to vote. Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
No.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
And Vice Mayor Baggett.
No.
Passes 6-2. We'll now go to new business. Consideration resolution 2026-60, a resolution to approve the lease template for commercial tenants as part of the City Hall block redevelopment and authorize the city administrator to execute tenant leases and contracts for tenant improvements. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Alderman Barnhill.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Potts. Any discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, please.
You recognize Alderman Berger.
All right, I spent about a couple of hours on this. the document's really detailed, and it's about protecting our city property and as a landlord, I think. And I just had a couple oopses, and I wanted to stop for a second and say, let me go back and go through this with a fine-tooth comb. Steve, your group's done a great job. I mean, great job. I'm not trying to pick through this because of that. I think there are a few things I'd like to bring up and just see if the board has any comment for it. If you don't, then let's move on. One big thing for me is I just felt the BOMA should have not just the mere notification, but maybe a say on the approval of the tenants. That we're doing this for the first time, and maybe 5 years down the road we don't need to do that, but we have a fiduciary responsibility here, and I just thought just informing us of who they are. I'm not sure that sat quite right with me on that. So for the city administrator to be the only deciding member on that, I just had a oops on it, and I don't know if anybody on the board feels the same way. Not that I don't trust Eric to do a fine job, because you always do, but I was hoping that we could just have a discussion on that real quick. Mr. Mayor, could we just take them one by one, because I've got about 4 or 5 points I really just want to point out, and I don't want to mix it up. So,
Fine.
Anybody
want
has,
to make a comment?
I would like to just clarify, my intent is to consult with you before I execute anything. So the board would be contacted, I'd tell you where we're going, and then, assuming everybody's comfortable, then I would move forward with execution. Part of this is meant to be able to respond and move quickly.
Right.
So that's the idea, but I wouldn't do it unilaterally.
Right.
My intent is to talk to you about that specific mix and before we executed anything. So
Well,
if that helps, but
yes,
totally
because
respect where you're coming from.
sometimes that we have issues, and you always you email the board and say,
Yes.
I'm making this decision. If anybody has input, contact me. And if we can just leave it at that, I'd be perfectly fine with that, because that at least gives us an opportunity to put our 2 cents in.
Yep.
That's all I think I'm looking for, unless anybody else has anything. I'm good with that, as long as that's written in there.
Thank you.
Great.
All right, now,
Continue on. Did you want to make a comment?
Yeah, if I may, when we hired Hamilton Young, they were essentially the premier broker for downtown Franklin. They have our best interests in mind, and are doing a wonderful job in identifying tenants for these spaces. And I don't expect vape shops or any of the other things to show up, but I really expect from them, and what I've seen from them has been really, really positive. And I know Eric, he's given the responsibility through this resolution to execute things, but they're not the considerations are not they're being very well vetted. So I hope you know that. Short of Hamilton Young, I mean, it's not in my lane, quite frankly. But they absolutely know what they're doing. And I think they will provide to us tenants that are really valuable to the downtown community. So, anyway, that's what I wanted
And
to share.
you go
Thank
on
you.
then with your other
Mark,
comments
yeah,
you
I
want to
will,
make. if
let me
you'll
go
move
on record, Mark, and say that was not my concern at all. That was
Yeah,
not
good.
my intent and not my concern. I just have some different things. I'm very happy with who we chose. I have no beef with you all. And as elected official, judiciary responsibility, I just kept looking at this saying, are there little things that we need to look at?
We'll continue
So-
on expressing that if you would.
Yes, I would.
Focusing on the contract.
I am. So I think the number 2 would be material lease amendments. I would just say if the city administrator would be required to inform us before he gets approval. That's the second thing. I think you're going to do that. Number 3, the administrator is authorized to approve tenant improvement contracts. The lease establishes a tenant improvement allowance, but there's no dollar amount. So I did not know if that was a missing thing. So my question is, what's the maximum tenant improvement allowance, maybe per square foot or per tenant? Do we,
It's really going to be part of what we negotiate with each potential user.
Each
So
one.
yeah, it's going to be a variety of what we provide, what they provide, what allowances we have, the trade-off of rental rates.
Sure.
It's a multifaceted sort of component, and that's where Hamilton Young will be very helpful in helping us navigate that.
so will we have a hard cap on any of that, or will it be no cap?
It's going to be part of what we negotiate overall.
All right, okay. I'm okay.
Those factors affect one
Yeah.
another, so it's sort of some give and
It
take.
is,
And
is very fluid.
yeah, we've got multiple
So I understand
potential
that.
users. We're
Okay.
going to find the best fit.
Okay, then the next one, the lease terms and renewal options need to be established. The template, again, left blank for renewal periods. And my question is, what's the potential initial lease term? How many renewal options are we contemplating offering? You know, that kind of thing. Will that all be worked out beforehand?
That's part of what we would negotiate. I think we're anticipating somewhere around 10 years for that initial term. So 10 years initially, and then that renewal would be subject to the specific negotiation.
Yeah, I'm not looking to have BOMA approve any renewal options, so that's not my intent.
Yeah.
Again, I'm just asking the questions. And I feel if I don't ask the questions,
Sure.
I'm not doing my work. Are the tenant selections criteria, should become enforceable lease requirements? I think the resolution had some really, really good policy language in there. And you talked about complement historic downtown, activate Third Avenue, all those that were listed. And I brought up the alcohol thing the last time because I thought that should be amendable, because with the board, if we, I wouldn't want to take a very ideal tenant and say, you can't be here because you can't serve wine at a luncheon or something of that sort. So Shauna, I think one of the questions I was saying, which of these criteria actually becomes enforceable obligations of the tenant after the lease is signed? Are all those enforceable after they're signed?
Yes, all of them. That is the guidance that we got from you. So
right.
all of them are enforceable.
All right.
The whole time.
And one of the things I thought of, you're thinking about all the different scenarios. And I thought, what if we had a business in there that had a lunch place or a dinner place, and they were going to have a holiday party, and say a corporation said, we want to have our party there, and we want to rent out your whole little place, and have 30 or 40 people in there and do a holiday. They would not be able to provide an alcoholic beverage. But my question would be, could they provide it if they didn't sell it?
I think that's something we're going to have to talk about. But if you were to lease to a food establishment that could maybe have a special event, I think that for a one-off, we can probably get there. It does say prohibit alcohol sales. So if it were a special event for customers or maybe even for their own staff, we could get there.
Okay.
And you might look at it like you look at certain downtown events that provide it under certain conditions or
Right.
certain, there's probably a path on a specific date and time, window of time.
Yeah. Okay, I just wanted to bring that up because that's going to happen. Trust me.
It could.
That will happen. There was a strong emphasis on local businesses. Thought it was actually a little weak. I would like to say preference. I think we should say a preference for local business. That's just semantics there. Don't compete with existing downtown businesses. This is the one I gave a lot of thought to, because the resolution says tenants should not compete with existing downtown businesses. That's a great goal, but who determines what constitutes competition? So my question was, what objective tests would Hamilton and Young basically use to determine whether a proposed tenant competes with an existing downtown business? For example, a bakery, a coffee shop. And I wouldn't want, this is the other thing is, I wouldn't want to eliminate a business just because they intend to serve coffee, or just because they might have a coffee bar, or because they serve pizza, there you go, or sell baked goods. They may not be just a bakery or not just a coffee shop, but I wanted to, they could be very subjective. So I wanted to bring that up, so you all heard that. And then the last 2 or 3 here, 10 p.m. end hour, it said should avoid hours past 10 p.m. I think the word avoid should stay in there, because again, if you have holiday parties, you don't want to kick everybody out and say, you got to get out at 10 o'clock, rather than filtering out between 10 and 10:30 or something of that nature. So I think we ought to pay attention to that. And then the last 2 operating expenses are very broad. And my question was, could you explain that, but what exactly will the city be passing through to the tenants? What will remain a city expense? And we can talk about that later, because you could probably be here 20 minutes discussing that, and I can just share that with you afterwards if you'd like. But I thought, maybe we ought to take a closer look at that. And then, so why are tenants paying real estate tax? I didn't get that one.
Commercial operation.
Even though we don't pay taxes and we are a civic
We
building.
will for that element because it's commercial use.
Okay. I was just wondering about how that, was that just sort of, okay. And then there was the 5% late fee that I read about. Is that sort of standard?
I think it's standard lease language.
All right, and then the last one was adjustments to a related company does not require, assignment to a related company does not require city consent. And I looked at that and I said, a tenant normally needs city approval to assign or sublet, but no consent is required for an entity under common control of that tenant. So my question is, does the city want to have notification or approval of material changes in ownership or control, particularly because the tenant identity does matter here? How would we handle that? Do you know what I mean by that? I mean, the lease could and should permit, I think, that without an approval. Will it? If somebody is going to change ownership, or say we approve something for ABC Franklin LLC or something like that, and later the business transfers into another entity controlled by the same ownership group. We don't have to go back and do approvals for all that, do we?
We're gonna still have to redo the documents because it's a different corporation. They're gonna have to do that.
But they don't have to go through a whole approval process, do they? If it's staying
If it stands it right, but if they, I think we put in the contract that they wouldn't be allowed to sublet.
Yeah,
Without
that would be
your-
subject
that's
to
in the
our
contract.
approval.
Right.
Wasn't sure about that.
Yeah.
Okay. Without approval or with even
We would approve any
sublet?
sublet or change in use.
Right.
Okay, yeah, we would approve that. Okay, that's it.
All right, I got Vice Mayor, and then
Thanks.
I've got
Appreciate
Alderman
it.
Potts.
The section 6 of this resolution, the city administrator is further authorized to take any and all necessary actions to implement and administer the terms of the associated contracts and amendments thereto, provide such amendments to not increase cost to city. But that's not this base contract, right? That's not the template contract. Is that, here's what I don't want. I don't want, because what happens normally in these negotiations with a tenant is that, like, there will be specific things that in the contract that they would want, and I don't want every one of those to have to come back to us.
Right.
I would like for us to be able to give you authority to make those changes in the contract. It already says in here something about terms acceptable to the city attorney. typically we'll have our template contract, our contract that we approve.
Mm-hmm.
You all go out and do it. If there's any change to the contract, it's got to come back to us. I want to avoid that.
Right, yeah, and I think that's our intent, is to have these in broad terms approved. There be some adjustments for each specific tenant.
And then you just come back
But
and tell us.
Yes.
That's-
If there's something that is substantially different than what we put in here, then we would revisit it with you.
The other thing I would say
It's
is,
a judgment.
do I need to make
Needs
an
to be on.
amendment to the motion to, it doesn't look like the insurance requirements go.
Yeah, and we just got some additional language on that this afternoon,
It's all
so.
good. I need to make an amendment so you can update all insurance and, you know,
And we're still looking at this.
but that would give you the authority to make those changes.
Yes, and we do have
without-
some tweaks based on some input we got from you. We've also looked at it again with our consultant, so.
Could I make an amendment to allow you to update all the insurance provisions within the template contract upon
Sure.
staff
With
review?
consultation with our
Yeah.
risk management
Yes,
group.
risk
and- Yes,
management.
yes.
I make that amendment.
Second.
Second.
Because it will get tweaked a little bit.
So
based
now
on-
we're on the amendment. Is there any discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, you ready to vote on the amendment? Alderman Barnhill?
Yes.
Alderman Blanton?
Yes.
Alderman Caesar?
Yes.
Alderman Peterson?
Yes.
Alderman Berger?
Yes.
Alderman Brown?
Yes.
Alderman Potts?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Baggett?
Yes.
Passes unanimously. We'll now go back to the original motion as amended.
Look, can I finish one final comment? Do we need to apply a broader amendment to give you further ability to modify this between now and then? I think our consultants are nodding their heads, because I've been involved in these lease negotiations
Yeah,
before.
yeah, there is a little bit on,
Tenant will have their own attorney, right?
Right. And
So-
Give-
they have-
Stop. I'm gonna, I know who you are. I'm gonna ask you to say who you are, and I'm gonna ask the board to let you speak quickly. Go ahead.
You're right.
And you are? Say who you are, Steve.
Steve Bacon Franklin.
Yes, thank you for the record.
Yeah, each tenant will have his own attorney, and they have their red lines when they go through the agreements. And a lot of those changes are minor, but they have their specific things that they want. So, you know that.
Yeah.
As you go through each agreement, it's a little different on each one. So,
at the end of the day, we, city staff and city attorney, has the ultimate, we will say yes or no.
yeah.
But I'd like to give staff the ability to make those tweaks and report back to us with those changes, instead of the other way around, which is get all the changes they want and come back and see if we'll tweak it. I'd like to have that in the inverse. And if I need to do another amendment, I would be happy to.
yeah. To me, that's somewhat implied in what you're doing, as long as it's consistent with what's in the broad terms here. I think that will be something we'll need to, there's sort of a judgment call about when we've gone too different than what you've approved as a
little subjective.
sort, this sort of base agreement. So I don't know how to phrase it. I know where you're going, and I don't quite know how to phrase it.
And
but-
that what we'd be saying is that's up to yours and the city attorney's
Yes.
judgment as to how far that goes, and then you would just come back and explain how your judgment was
And we
applied.
will give you, just like we do on various items that we approve on your behalf, you would see the final product as well.
Yeah, and I think we will
On the
see-
back end, though, it'd be approved
on the back end,
on
but
your
I think
behalf.
we'll see this if you're bringing per the resolution. We're going to get it. You're going to bring it back to us, right? In one of these section.
As an
Section
item
4
on your behalf.
shall inform the board manager of the selected tenants prior to execution of leases. So it's already implied in there that we're going to see it before execution. So I'd like to, I should have just done all this on the first amendment, apologize, but I would like to amend the motion further to allow the city administrator and city attorney to modify the template agreement using their judgment and report back to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen per Section 4 of changes that might happen during specific lease negotiations prior to execution of lease.
Second. I'll second that.
Appropriate amendment and second. And you want to discuss the amendment, please go ahead.
It's more of an operational question, because if they're going to make adjustments for an agreement with a tenant and it has to be discussed in public, that I think makes it a little bit unusual, because that doesn't necessarily mean we would consent to those adjustments. So from an operational perspective, is there an opportunity for us to go into executive session to discuss the specifics? Those have to be discussed in public.
Yes. Mayor?
Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Typically, the things that would be negotiated are like price per square foot for build out. If you have a bakery versus price per square build out of a boutique, might be different, and there may be different terms that some may want them to pay, or the city to pay for X and Y, and others might want it to be A and B, and all that I think is kind of implied, but I just don't want all those. And some we may say we want them to have $5 million in umbrella liability, and some, if it was a tech store, we might want them to have cyber. There's just all kinds of that the landlord would want to have provisions in a lease based on the use that can't fully be contemplated in a template. And so by giving this flexibility, I don't know that you won't come back before you have all tenant possibilities.
We will have landed on our recommended.
And so at that stage,
So
I think
can I
we'll be
ask a
good.
question though, Patrick? Are you're asking to see the suggested tenant list, and then add whoever it is that Hamilton Young has picked? But then, are you also asking for us to update you along the way before we get to the contract?
No.
I'm just trying to make sure I understand the amendment.
I want to give you the authority to do these tweaks. I expect that we will get a list of Hamilton Young has selected who they think's best. You all have vetted that. You negotiated leases with those, and then you let us know what you have found. I don't want personally this board to be in the business of picking winners and losers.
Yes.
That is why we hired Hamilton Young.
Yep.
And so, because it is going to be a highly desirable place to do business. So, as much as I respect maybe those that disagree, I do think this needs to be a bit of a arm's reach process away from us. Allow the professionals to do their job. Bring back, you all negotiate with this, come back to us, here's the tenants we've selected, and here's the changes in the base tenant agreement we've done. Are you okay with that? And I think that really is, I don't want to be up here asking if we want, Mabel's Jelly Shop versus, whatever's footwear. Like, we don't need to have that. It's not appropriate. So this, I think, will do it. There's still a motion on the floor as well.
I understand that,
sorry.
Vice Mayor, and we're talking about your new amendment,
Yes,
and
sir.
I'm going to recognize Alderman Potts to.
I don't have a comment on the new amendment, sir.
Okay. Alderman Berger.
My question was, with that new amendment, so the base tenant agreement would also include like everything from repairs to management to insurance and all those?
It will be this template agreement, slightly modified based off of the tenant-specific negotiations that proceed.
Okay, because that was one of my questions, was the expenses. I think operating expenses seem to be very broad, and it includes insurance, security, utilities, repairs, landscaping, whatever,
That's standard.
Yeah,
Most
it is.
tenants are paying their
It is.
common
That's what
area
that
of
means.
share.
But those things would
All
be
those things.
in your base tenant agreement. Okay.
Alderman Caesar, you're recognized.
I was just going to say on the record, I'll support the amendment. My concern was that we had this public negotiation
Right.
where there could potentially be some disruption that's caused by that. The way that Alderman Baggett laid it out and the way that Shauna seemed to agree and Eric seemed to agree seems very reasonable, and I'll support it.
Ready to vote on the amendment? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. And then I'll go back to the original motion as amended. Is there any further discussion? Alderman Potts, you're recognized.
Yes, thank you, sir. I just had a brief comment, and it was really geared around the beginning of the conversation as I heard things talking about special events, and it made me start thinking about that in-cap business At one point, it was designed so that individuals could open up doors or windows, things like that, so it could flow into the park that's adjacent to it. Only thing I would ask Hamilton Young to do is to partner up with our City Parks Department and anyone else within our City of Franklin team in the event that we need to have discussions where that, we'll call it a restaurant for now, if that business or that restaurant said, we're going to have a special event on this night and we want to rent out the city park, I want to make sure that we've got our T's crossed and I's dotted right there.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Ready to vote on the motion as amended?
Okay.
Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Item number 9, Resolution 2026-75, authorizing the city administrator to allow for the procurement of a mini packer for use by the Parks and Recreation, Sanitation, and Environmental Services Department in an amount not to exceed $200,000. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Thank you.
Second.
Seconded by the Vice Mayor. Any discussion? Ready to vote. Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger. Alderman Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Item 10 is Resolution 2026-76, a resolution authorizing the city administrator to execute City of Franklin Contract 2026-0144 with Tyler Technologies for financial ERP solutions in the amount of $1,582,320. Is there a
Move for
motion?
approval.
Term of contract 3 years. Thank you, Alderman Berger. Was there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Potts. Any discussion? Seeing none, ready to vote. Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
And Vice Mayor Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. We'll now go to item 11, consideration City of Franklin contract number 2026-0289 with Patsy Pence Revocable Trust for a lease agreement for 507 New Highway 96 West. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Thank you, Alderman Brown. Is there a
Second.
second? By Alderman Berger. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's vote. Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Item 12, consideration of appointment of Walter Denton, Assistant City Administrator, to the Williamson County Convention and Visitors Bureau. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Thank you.
Second.
Second by Alderman Peterson. Any discussion? Ready to vote. Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
And Vice Mayor.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Item 13 is reappointment of Mary McGowan to the Development Services Advisory Commission. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Thank you. Seconded by Alderman Caesar. Any discussion? Ready to vote. Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Potts.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Any other business come before this body? Seeing none. Is there a motion? Thank you, Alderman
Second.
Blanton. Seconded by Alderman Caesar. All in favor or leave?
Aye.
All in favor, leave.